Let's take a look at the new update for the TONEX pedal. This adds delay, modulation, and some new reverb types to both the pedal and the TONEX software app. When I first demoed this, I had a wish list for a built-in, say, Tube Screamer style boost and the ability to swap the reverb for a delay. I like that they've added on a delay and a modulation in there. I still wish there was a boost option in there, but we're just going to go through some of the options to get started. I've got this JTM45 capture that I made of my JTM45. It sounds like this. Nice crunchy tone right there. Let's dig into some of the new effects over here. So you can see I've already been playing around with the delay, but if we take a look at this, we've got delay, reverb, mod, EQ, compression. EQ and compression were already in there. Apparently there was some noise gate improvements. Well, that's cool, but also pretty boring to listen to. So let's start off with, say, the delay over here. I'm going to enter into that. I'm going to turn it on in there, and then we can select between either a digital or a tape delay in here. Let's start with the tape. We can place it pre or post capture, which I think I'm going to like with the mod effects. We can sync it to the tempo or just dial in a time. Let's go for 330 milliseconds. You notice that the adjustments are in 10 millisecond clumps right there. Feedback, I'm going to turn up over there. We can have the mode to just be normal or ping pong. Of course, I'm going to start with ping pong, and of course, it times out in a really weird way when I'm trying to do that. So we've got ping pong happening. Let's do that. And we'll go over to the mix and just leave it at 50%. Let's check it out. That's pretty nice. I like that right there. Let's hear the digital type in the delay block. So I'll go back to the type over here. We'll select digital as the type. One thing that I notice is when you select a new type, it kind of resets all the parameters. So the time goes back to 350 milliseconds, the feedback goes back to 20%, and the mode goes back to normal. Let's go to ping pong on there. Please, IK Multimedia, fix this for the next update. I find that very unintuitive. Sometimes I want to hear a 400 millisecond ping pong normal delay and then immediately compare it to a tape delay without having to go back and forth. But, that was kind of the theme of the last demo that I did. I'll try not to complain too much. I'm just curious while I'm here, what is the maximum delay time that I can get out of this in the ping pong mode anyway? Let's go to time. So if I crank this up, there's 1 whole second of delay on there. So that's pretty cool. I'm just going to go over to, say, a clean model. This is the fat clean, and let's hear some of the mod options now. So we'll navigate over to mod. I'm going to turn it on again, and we've got a bunch of different types. We have chorus, tremolo, phaser, flanger, rotary in there. Let's just start and hear the rotary. I'm curious as to what this sounds like. nice, and the tremolo is very serviceable in there. Let's go back to the mod type over here. Let's select, what do we want? Let's try the chorus, and I want to try this post to start off with, and then we'll hear it before the clean amp on there. I'll do the same thing with the dirty amp in a second as well. So what do we have? We've got chorus. I want to select that. Position is, I think it's post at the moment. Rate, we'll go to 0.7 hertz. We'll just turn the depth down a little bit on there. Again, something I find a bit confusing, you know, the delay had a mix control. The chorus has a level control. So I don't know what 7.5 means, but it's at 7.5. I like the chorus and I like that ping pong tape delay on a lead sound. That is more than serviceable, and I think on their own those are great additions in here. Let's hear the spring reverb. One thing that I find interesting is there's 4 different spring reverb types, but you cannot place them before the amp on there. You've just got last or post amp on there. So again, one of those curious things where there's a lack of consistency in the way this is all laid out. Let's just hear the different types though on there. So we'll go to type. I've got spring 1 to start. again, here's that thing with consistency. Because I've selected spring 2, I now need to go back and I need to turn the time back up to where I had it. I especially have to turn the mix up on there. It just makes comparisons side by side really frustrating, and I feel like it should be a lot more streamlined than that. Interesting stuff. I don't know if having 4 different spring reverb types is really justified. I'd much rather have, say, a single spring where you could place it before the amp if you wanted to, and then maybe a hall reverb option and maybe a really big reverb option in there as well. And I feel like that this is still lacking something like a tube screamer style model in there, so that you can take an existing amp model and you can hit it with that boost to really kick it over the edge. I think that would make it a lot more versatile, but you got to take your little victories where they are. I think the addition of the delay is excellent. I think the addition of the modulation options make this a whole lot more versatile, and you can see how they've rolled this out in reaction to something like the Nano Cortex, which also does capturing. It does capturing on the unit. I have to say, I probably prefer the TONEX way of doing this, where you offload the actual capturing to your computer, which is a lot more powerful and a lot more flexible. I'm not going to talk about the software editor. I feel like, if anything, IK have made it even clunkier and more confusing. I still feel like that needs a massive overhaul, the addition of a boost, and they could roll out a firmware update where, say, changing the delay type on there or the reverb type doesn't completely reset all the parameters to some arbitrary default. That would be awesome. But who knows, maybe some other competitive product has to come out in the meantime for this to be implemented, because I do find it funny that a lot of people, myself included, kind of requested these features. And I'm not saying, oh, IK, finally listen to me, I'm such a foresighted visionary designer. No, this is basic stuff that I think should just be there with any unit that comes to market. It's great that it's in there now, and especially if you've got the TONEX 1, this makes that unit so much more attractive. The fact that you can have built-in delay, reverb, and modulation on there. I guess you could use the compressor or the EQ as a boost on there, or you could just capture your amp boosted as well. I'm just going to stop complaining and maybe play you all out on this. Again, I'm really happy to see an update for this. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this update, and if you're using TONEX, how are you using it? Just on its own with these effects, or are you building a larger board around it? One of my favorite captures that I made, I think, is over here. It's a capture of the Synergy Überschall. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the mod block over here. We're going to turn it on. We're going to go to that chorus. Is it a chorus? It's a chorus. That's good. And what we'll do is we'll set the rate quite low, and then we'll leave the depth maybe a little bit lower on there. I still don't know what level does, but I feel like this is a really fun, chunky, 90s style high gain tone. Have a great day. See you next time.